Welcome to LaChance Encounters. I am here today with, I first knew him as DJ REKLSS. He is Christian Lacoss, an interesting Manchester personality in a lot of ways. You might have seen him DJing in the bars and clubs around Manchester, but more recently, you know him as a radio DJ for 96.5 The Wolf?
Live Free Country.
Live Free Country. What was The Wolf?
The Wolf is...
That was 93.3?
I don't even know. It's
96.5 Live Free Country. I knew 96.5 was the Mill forever.
Oh, yeah.
That was like my jam was the Mill back when I listened to radio. But I got to tell you, I don't listen to radio anymore. And to see a young guy like yourself doing radio is kind of crazy to me. Tell me, how did you? I know I've seen your steps. Like you were on. We were just talking about it before we started recording. You were on some talk radio stuff. You were doing the DJ thing. How did you become a DJ, a radio DJ, such a young age? I think it's like something that people don't even know exists anymore.
So you got to go back to like when I first turned 18. I've always been in radio, whether it was like public access radio to where I'm at now. I used to do a show with a guy named Matt Connerton, my roommate. And after that, just during COVID, I was like, what do I want to do? I started a podcast, did the whole podcast thing. And I was like, this is a lot of work. Like, I commend you.
You're telling me.
This is a lot of work.
That's why I pay people.
Exactly.
To do this stuff for me.
And an opening ended up being at 96.5 when they switched over from the Mill to the now country station. They needed somebody for the morning show. So I emailed the program director, Mike, and I go, hey, man, I want to introduce myself. My name's Christian. I'm a DJ out here. I would love to possibly be a co-host on the morning show. He responds with, awesome, great. Send me an air check. Me, I'm 23. I don't know what an air check is. I've always done live radio. And he was like, yeah, send me an air check. And I literally Googled what an air check was and then sent him a 2-hour podcast that I did. And when it only needed to be 30 seconds. He goes, we're not quite looking for this right now. I'm going to keep you in mind. I really do like what you're about. I like what you do. And he then hit me 3 months later after I bugged him every week with emails. He was like, hey, we got an opening on Street Team. And Street Team is where you start out in the radio station. You're going out to the events. You're doing the tables. And
I haven't heard the term Street Team in so long. That was a music thing when I was a kid. Like you could get like free stuff from bands if you were on their street team, and we would go out, kind of hand stuff out. But it's really we just got free stuff from like these touring bands.
And no, so I started out on Street Team, and then August of last year I started doing like the weekend shifts, like overnight, like midnight to 3 a.m. And then he was like, hey, how do you feel about doing Saturday nights, 7 p.m. to midnight? And I was like, oh, I love that. That's a great shift for me, in my opinion. My demographic of like the 20 to 35-year-olds are all getting ready to go out to the bars, the clubs, doing whatever they're doing for the night. They're going to hear me on their rides into the places where they're going, stuff like that. So I thought about it like that. I also thought it from a marketing standpoint. I was like, how can I take advantage of this on my social media? So I started filming clips, posting them, and doing that. And so far, it's been fun. I love it. And I now do the morning show with them on Fridays. That's a totally different animal.
Mm-hmm. Is that like a music first morning show, or is it more talk?
It's more of a music first. Okay. Yeah.
I know one radio term. That's it. That's the one radio term.
Now we do
music first.
We do talk about a lot of.
I remember the Free Beer and Hot Wings show. They would like pick apart the industry, and I remember them saying that they're trying to make us do a music first, and they were like all about doing like pranks on the streets and stuff like that.
I want to do that so bad.
Yeah. Is there still? Nick and I, my producer Nick, he's been talking about Jackass quite a bit and wanting to do like Jackass-esque stuff. Is there still a market for that? Is there still, because the internet's kind of. You see that on TikTok. You could go to TikTok and watch 90,000 hours of people doing dumb shit. Mm-hmm. You think you can still take something like that to mainstream radio?
So I feel like it depends on the genre. All right, you're not gonna go do that on a like adult contemporary station where you're listening to pop music. I feel like that would work on a rock station. You know what I mean? Where you got that grittier.
And country's kind of in the middle. I feel
country,
like.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
country can go both ways.
Because
you got outlaw type of country, and you got the more poppy country.
Pop country, bro country, whatever you call it nowadays. And no, I feel like we can definitely toe the line where we're at with country radio, and I love it.
Yeah.
Because I can say some pretty controversial stuff and not be it. As long as it fits in as long as it doesn't step over that line, you're good.
Is it like are you under a big corporate umbrella, like
Yeah.
a big multimedia conglomerate type of thing? So you must have a lot of restrictions based on that, and have to answer to all the advertisers and all that too.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that was one of my biggest changes for me, because I went from working at a public access radio station that really wasn't. It had rules, but not many rules.
How did you get into that initially? Because we kind of glazed over. Like how usually, I've always been in radio, but that wasn't magical.
17. Yeah, I was 17 when that all happened. I was promoting a benefit or something, and I wanted to go on the radio for it. And I called up the radio station. I was like, "Hey, here's what I'm doing. I was wondering if you would help me promote." He's like, "Yeah, we'll get you in on the show on this day." And then a few months later, after that show, I messaged my buddy Matt, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'd love to come on your show, just, shoot the shit, do whatever." And
did you know him at the time? You
no, not really.
Because cold outreach.
Yeah, and he literally, it grew into a relationship that I was on his show for a solid 2 months straight every day.
That's awesome.
And then
and there's the lesson in there is and it's just ask. You want something, just ask for it. The worst thing anybody's going to say to you is no.
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt you to get a no.
Exactly.
And sometimes it takes, as you found out with the country station, it takes a lot of no's to get to a yes sometimes too.
And I'm still being told no.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not a bad thing. There's always, you're going to get more no's than you do yeses in this industry, in anything, I feel like.
Just about everything. Yeah. It was a tough transition for me. I went from a glass company to real estate, where it's I would answer the phone. Somebody wanted a windshield. 95% of the time they were coming to get that windshield, to real estate, where it's the stat when I entered the business, they said a new agent had to talk to 80 people per sale. You had to have 80 conversations with different people about real estate before one of those conversations would turn into a sale. So I had to get used to the no. And I think in media, especially traditional media, where there's so few spots, so few opportunities, you're definitely going to have to get used to hearing no if you want to make it.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. And I think I'm at that perfect age where I'm coming in and I can introduce a lot more opportunities, especially social media, where you're bringing a 24-year-old like me into a traditional media business, and you're who has that knowledge of social media, and you're oh, what can he offer? When I came to this radio station, I was like, here's what we need to do. And my program director, Mike, he is a saint. He has been do it, and I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's good to have somebody like that.
Yeah.
I think too often people in management roles, they get so hung up on if we do this and it flops, I'm screwed. Instead of just throwing everything out there, and what works. And
exactly.
What doesn't hurt you.
That's what social media has been for me for the longest time, is throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, for lack of better wording.
Yeah. Currently, right now, I have a post that is on Instagram up to about 550,000 views. That is unlike anything that I had ever done before. And it's stupid. I had an idea. I told ChatGPT to make it, and I posted it, and it's gone nuts. And it's you never know. I look at social media as little lottery tickets that live forever. Mm-hmm. It's you just throw it out there, and hey, somebody sees it, then they fuck with you, or they need your service, or they find you, and then they come to you, or they listen to your show, whatever it is that you do. It's it just lives out there forever, and it's free.
Exactly. And there is 7 billion people in this world. The odds of somebody
we're over 8 now.
We're over 8 now?
Over 8.
Well, I was off by 1 billion.
Yeah.
But the chances of somebody seeing your content and liking it, it's there. Yeah. It always will be now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so powerful. Episode I released this week, which was actually a month ago, when by the time people are actually saying this, but was my wife's childhood best friend, high school best friend, started a Disney brand company, made some posts on social media, and now she has her own space that she was out of her house. Now she had to rent space to run it. And just making t-shirts, but she has like 150,000 fans on her Instagram that buy all her stuff every time she drops something. And it's just, a lot of people just hold back and don't do stuff and don't put it out there.
Exactly.
And it's like, that can never happen. It might never happen if you try. I think I heard Seth Rogen say this, but it's like, if you keep trying, it might happen. But if you stop trying, it'll never happen no matter what.
Mm-hmm. And social media is so good for these small businesses too, because the story
it's changed the game. I mean,
exactly.
It's changed. You're no longer, if you want to start something and you're willing to put in the work, you can do it. You have the tools, which you used to have to ask permission, like you've done in traditional media. That was the only option, was to ask permission and get it.
And that brings me to like, that's when the TikTok ban happened, right? You had all these small businesses, dude, that are making so much money, and that's their only lifeline to marketing now.
Yeah, diversify on social media. Big time. Always like I've even screwed around with like the Red Note like that.
Oh yeah, I downloaded that app and deleted it as quick as I downloaded it.
I just post stuff once in a while. I'm like, just Blue Sky, like some of these other ones, these alternatives that I'm like, you never know. You never know when Meta is going to crumble. Mm-hmm. I mean, Zuckerberg's kind of a lunatic. You never know what's going to happen. A little bit. We were just talking about before we recorded. To be that person, or to be what either of us do, you have to be a little bit of a lunatic, I think.
My biggest challenge too on social media is not growing a following, but it's getting that following from one platform to the other. That is, because these platforms,
a lot of times you have different audiences.
Exactly, and it's competition.
Yeah,
that's why like if you post a link on Instagram, they're not going to push that story.
Yeah, you post a link, like I'll share my podcast videos. It's like I always put the link in the comments. If I put a link in a Facebook post, it is never being seen.
Yeah, my Facebook engagement's just gone.
Yeah,
but then again, that's not the demographic.
The viral post I was just talking about, 350 or whatever, or 450, no, 550 on Instagram, whatever. It's actually got 10,000 on Facebook, and I'm in complete shock. So I've never seen anything do that on
My
Facebook.
most viral video right now was literally me sitting in front of a camera, venting about how I had call-outs at work. I was like,
welcome. The stupidest things.
I was like, welcome to New Hampshire. We're on the first 80-degree day of the year. We all play hooky and go to Hampton Beach.
That is 100% true. And it's so relatable, right? Like everybody that has a regular traditional job has experienced that for sure.
The most wild part to me was throughout the summer, I played like touristy locations. Like I played the beach. I played Lake Winnipesaukee. People were coming up to me and being like, "Is this you?" I was like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, a little bit. That's me."
And Nick just told me, Nick's very heavy into YouTube, and he just told me that somebody walked up to him at the mall, complete strangers, like, "Hey, I like your YouTube videos." It's like anybody can get there now.
And that's like, beautiful. That's the most rewarding thing too. Because you're seeing your work, it's working. Yeah. It's making
like this difference. Podcasting is weird compared to social media because you don't know who's looking. Like you get like likes and stuff on, and it is available on the podcast platforms, but just nobody uses it. It's not a social media. Whereas like everything I've ever posted on social media, like I know who likes it. I know because they're commenting, they're liking, they're DMing me. The podcast, like on Spotify and Apple Music and all those, I have no idea who's. Yeah. And so I just had a phone call with a colleague last night, and we talked for a bit, and then he was like, before we hung up, he's like, "By the way, been loving your podcast," and I was like, "Oh, I would have never thought you'd be listening," and that it feels good because it's hard to keep going. I said when I started this, I was doing 100 episodes before I'd even consider stopping, and then assess it then. But it's like, I mean, like you said in the beginning, it's a lot of work, and
there's a statistic on that, on the podcasting thing. It's like, 8 podcasts before most podcasts die after like 8 podcasts or something like that.
For sure. Yeah. I'd be shocked. That's surprisingly high to me.
Yeah, I was like 4 or 8. I can't remember.
I think, but now that does make sense. So if you actually go on Spotify and look at the list of podcasts, you'll see I started this Chance Encounters at the beginning of this year. But back in 2021, I did 6 episodes of, I called it Faces of Manchester.
I remember this.
Where I would just interview local Manchester, and I only got like 6 episodes in. So it does make sense. They're all still there. I just recycled the same, that way there was just extra content there. And people since I started this have been going back and listening to those older ones.
I'm pretty sure that's how we met.
I don't know.
It was around that time.
I'm not sure exactly. The first thing I remember encountering you, and I wanted to actually bring this up, was on Facebook. It was some community group. I mean, Manchester Happenings now, something like that. And you posted asking if there was any sort of like collaborative space, like workshop space or like studio space, something like that, where you could go and create and develop stuff, make stuff. Make content, whatever. I forget exactly what you had asked.
Something like that.
But it was something in that vein, right? And the comments were like, oh, you get a job and buy the shit yourself, freeloader. Like all of it was like, and I'm like, I'm looking at it going, this is a young guy who wants to create stuff. He wants to put stuff out in the world. It has no resources to do so. He's looking for any avenue, and you weren't looking for handouts. You were looking for a space that's set up to do that.
I had everything. I had the cameras and everything.
It's like people just jump so quickly to the negative and like shit on somebody who's actually trying to do something. And it's like all those people, it's always they have nothing in their lives,
exactly,
nothing to be proud of, so they're going to tear somebody else down. And honestly, I take the Gary V approach of like I feel bad for that person. I'm not going to get mad at him. I had just telling you about that viral post. Somebody replied, "You can do better than AI garbage bullshit," and I was like, I can go look at my other 1,000 posts and my hours and hours of long form content on different platforms.
I stopped reading the comments.
Yeah.
After September, I stopped reading the comments.
The only reason I do is to just reply and help the engagement go up. I've got myself in the mindset that I don't care. You can say anything to me; it's not going to bother me.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now, dude. After like last September, dude, I got myself into a little bit of trouble being like it's a typical irresponsible 23-year-old.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have never seen so many hate comments. And I was like, 48 hours later, I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I fixed the issue. You know what? I'm not worried about what people have to say. I'm going to continue to do what I do. I'm still making money. I'm still having fun.
Was that when the whole world was tearing you down for missing a gig?
Yeah. Pretty big gig, but no.
Important and very important. And it's
very important. And I made right to the people.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, dude, listen, these are all people that honestly have been waiting for me to make a mistake. Right. I hated that I did it 100%.
Yeah.
I have been, and it was a big learning point for me too, because I have been balls to the walls with work for the past 3 years. And that was all right, you need to slow down, get your shit together moment.
Yeah, it's a lot of great advice for anybody getting into any sort of business. It's like set up your systems and your processes very early. Because once you're in it and you're super busy, you're never going to have time to do it. And that's when those things happen. Mm-hmm. Stuff slips between the cracks because you just didn't have a way to make sure you would never miss an appointment. It's like, I still do it. I mean, I'm 8 years into real estate. Every once in a while, my phone will ring and like, hey, man, where are you at? Because my days are so sporadic. A lot of times I'm able to just hop in the car, fly there. I'm, 20 minutes late or whatever. But, other times I've had to just reschedule, and I don't do that very often. I was struggling big time for a bit. I take ADHD medication, and I'm back on it. I was off of it for a while, and now I'm not missing my appointments. But yeah, it's a horrible sinking feeling when you realize that you disappointed somebody like that. They, you generally care about them and your business, and it's just it feels like it's all crumbling down in those moments.
Dude, that was like there was 2 days where I was like, holy crap, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I took everyone's advice. The people around me were like, just keep your mouth shut, keep your head low, just keep doing what you're doing. I thought about canceling every single gig that weekend. Yeah. My friend was like, do not do that. He's like,
you got to move forward. You can't mistake. You got to do the right thing to own up to the mistake and then move forward.
Exactly.
We've been talking so vague about this. Do you mind sharing the actual story?
I missed a wedding because I, 1, overbooked myself. 2, got a new phone, messed up the calendar, and obviously no excuse. I should have been way more.
Yeah, I don't think there's a worse thing to miss than a wedding.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it happened. I made right with the couple. I obviously paid them back, and ever since then, nobody knows that. Nobody knows I paid them back. Everyone's just focused on the bad. Yeah. So they're gonna.
I mean, people make mistakes.
Exactly.
Like it happens, and sometimes they're big mistakes.
Now, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for what I did. 100%.
Right. Yeah.
But I made right, and I know in my heart that I did what I could do.
Also, people stop getting so hung up on your fucking wedding. Like people get like, not to insult this couple. Obviously, you wronged them, but it's like, relax about the wedding. Don't even do it. Spend that money on a down payment on a house. Come see me.
Here comes the realtor.
but legitimately, I mean, I spent $15K on my wedding in 2013. I mean, that did what it would be double now. $30K. And I spent 30, and I didn't make much money back then. I was making, I think I was like $16 an hour.
Yeah.
You know, and I got a second job right down the street here at a Technique restaurant. I was washing dishes at night as like a 27-year-old man to help pay for a wedding. That's like, we had a great time. Our wedding was beautiful, and my wife and I are still together. It was a lovely time. People still tell me that your wedding was awesome. But it's like, I could have done something else with the money that was a lot more productive. So, you know, it's like, don't get so hung up on that one day.
Yeah.
You're trying to be with somebody for the rest of your life. That one day doesn't really matter that much. That's my soapbox, but definitely
you're talking to the 24-year-old.
If you work in the wedding industry, show up for the things. It happened to my wife. She was in a wedding party, and the hair and makeup people didn't show up. But luckily, the whole wedding party, we're all hairdressers, so they're like just did,
it worked out.
Yeah, they just did each other's. Like,
yeah, no, and I even paid them back for like what they spent on getting equipment,
a replacement.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? No, that's. I was like, it's my fault. I'll pay for it.
All right, yeah, right thing to do. That's all. Anytime you make a mistake in any sort of customer service, that's all people want is to you to make up for it. Like the meltdowns that people have usually happen after somebody doesn't make up for it, doesn't make it right. That's when I get mad. Like if I go to you as a service person, any service, any industry, and I say, hey, you did this wrong. If you make it right, I'm not gonna be upset. But as soon as you just push back and say, well, that's just how it is, I'm not going to fix it. That's when I get angry.
Yeah, no, 100%. I knew immediately I needed to fix it.
Like, I remember seeing that. I think I saw you like tagged in the post, like on some group.
I was tagged like 400 times.
I was like, oh God, I feel so bad.
I woke up that morning and that was the scariest moment of my life.
I think I actually had something that had happened to me the same week, and I remember going, well, that's not as bad as what I
Yo, every time I see someone go viral on social media now for something bad, I'm like, well, I've been there.
Been through it, yeah. Been through it.
That's why you'll never see me comment something negative anymore, dude. It's there's no point. There's no point, especially unless it's something really, really bad, like, no.
But even still, what good does it do?
Exactly.
You know, all the argument about political stuff and wars, and I'm not trying to diminish how important that stuff all is, but what are you doing on social media when you're just talking shit to some random person on your, you'll see it in like Candia Town town awareness. It's like they're arguing over world politics. It's like you're not changing anything.
I was like, you're in a town forum.
Yeah.
You're not doing much. But no, I will say that issue, what happened, that incident, made me a lot more humble and made me realize a lot that I am 24. I am so grateful to be in the position I am because there's not many 24-year-olds that have done what I have done, and are getting paid to do what they love.
Yeah.
I get paid to talk for
I mean, so few people you could go 42-year-olds, you could go 68-year-olds that are still working. There's very few people that ever get the experience of getting paid to do what they love, to do something they enjoy, and that should be the pursuit. Success should be measured by your happiness. Do something you enjoy doing that you care about. Like
exactly, dude.
It's so sad to see people go through their whole life, and it's I look at my parents' generation. My dad was genuinely happy in the construction field his whole life. But he enjoyed. I mean, did he have bad days? Were things stressful sometimes? Was it always, sunshine and rainbows? Of course not. But he genuinely enjoys building things with his hands. He genuinely enjoys solving problems that have to do with building. He genuinely enjoyed that. But I would say most people don't. They're not actually enjoying it. They're doing it because that's what they know how to do. It's the only way they know how to provide for themselves. And if you're just and the great thing, it's like, a lot of people get settled in. If I, jump ship right now, I have a lot of bills. I have a child. When you start young, you don't have you didn't have much when you started. So what do you have to lose? You're not trying to maintain any certain lifestyle because you started kind of from nothing. So it's good, that you recognize that early, and so many more people should I mean, around the time that I encountered you, the post I'm talking about, like a lot of your friends are probably like going to college or, just figuring out what they were going to do to get by.
All my friends are literally graduating this year.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
And unfortunately, for a lot of them, no jobs.
Yep.
100%. That's the 4-year degree is like, if you know specifically what you're going for and what industry and like how to get a job in that industry, it's fine. But it's like people go for like a liberal arts degree and you ask them what they're going to do with it. They don't know. I mean,
I couldn't even tell you what liberal arts is.
And you just, I'm not sure either. Actually,
I can't even tell you what it is.
I think it has something to do with literature or something, books. What, Nick? What is it?
It's like broad-based. It's like a broad-based thing. Like liberal arts is like all of the things you think of when you think of school. It's like a basic understanding of math, literature, art.
Oh.
Like it's sort of,
So it's just more high school?
liberal arts
Oh,
degree
so
is
yeah.
Sort of like a general.
It's just super high school. That's really expensive.
It has like a general education.
Listen, 3 not college educated men get to, in the middle of a weekday, sit here and talk shit into microphones.
Exactly. I barely passed high school, okay?
You don't need to go to college. We're all doing fine.
I press play on music and talk for a living, okay?
Yeah.
All right. I'm doing just
and
fine.
that was another thing. It's like I felt like growing
Liberal
up.
arts degree would be best for people like us because it's so broad.
Yeah, but the debt that you can do that you if it was free, sure.
Yeah, I don't feel like going $75,000 in debt.
But when I was growing up, I always thought radio DJs, that was like you had to go get a communications degree. It's clearly not a thing now.
I'm sure back then there was, but now there's not many people my age wanting to get into this industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you like the youngest by a long shot when you go into?
No, believe it or not. No, we got Sophie Sargent. She is 26, 25, 26 around there.
That's another on-air person?
Yeah, she does the weeknights there at 96.5. So yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to her too. She just did the Miss New Hampshire pageant and she got 3rd place. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, second loser. No,
Second loser. Hey, listen.
No, that's awesome. I'm not winning any beauty pageants.
I couldn't do it.
Nobody in this room is winning a beauty pageant, so props to her.
Speak for yourself.
Nick did get a haircut last week, so he's about as beautiful as he ever is.
I'm very fuckable right now.
So I also remember seeing you go on tour as a DJ, as a performing DJ.
Oh, that's a story for. Oh, yeah, wow.
Go for it.
That was an interesting one. Another example of networking. I, at the time, was looking to put on shows, actually. And there was one artist that I wanted, Sammy Adams. I tracked down his manager. Obviously, couldn't make anything happen with Sammy Adams because I'm a broke, 21-year-old.
I don't even know who that is.
He was pretty popular back in 2015, 2016.
As a DJ or?
As a singer, as a rapper. And I saw his manager post a story about needing a DJ for a tour. So I slid up on the story. I'll never forget this. I was in the mall in New Hampshire. I slid up on the story. 15 minutes later, he's like, you know what? I would like to, talk to you more about this. And fast forward 6 hours. I get a DM while I'm DJing at the GOAT. And he was like, yeah, we want to offer you this spot. We're going to all have a meeting for the tour on Zoom this day. We'll see you there. Here's what we're offering you for money. It wasn't nothing. Yeah. Obviously, you're doing a tour right after COVID.
I mean, I wouldn't even expect it, no matter what, any scenario for an opening DJ on a tour to
exactly.
To make much.
And so I ended up going on that tour. It was 20 shows in 30 days.
That's awesome.
That was nuts. In the back, in a painter, traveling the world in a painter van with 4 guys I didn't know from Jack.
When you say painter van, it didn't have seats in the back, or?
Oh, it was.
Did everybody have a seat?
Yes, because everyone had a seat.
I grew up in the punk rock scene, and I've seen tour situations where nobody had a seat. I've seen guys. I've seen 2 people in the front and 3 other people in a back of a box truck with all the equipment, like not even having windows or anything.
Did our AC work? No.
Yeah.
But everything else was fine.
I did a weekend with my band up in Canada in the middle of winter, and our heat went out. And it was just our breath was fogging the window. I found a squeegee at some store, and I'm just squeegeeing the fog off the window before it would freeze as we're driving the whole time. But yeah, touring's a trip. Like people, a lot of people think that it's all glamour because they only see the big major tours, the bus tours. But when you're in a van, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, when you're playing,
how far did you guys go on that?
We started in Pennsylvania, so East Coast to West Coast. We ended the tour in LA.
Nice.
That was fun. And obviously I booked gigs as a DJ after the shows in some places too.
Oh, nice.
So I made a little bit of money.
Perfect. Yeah, you were able to do a little bit more with the time while you were out.
It was huge for networking too, dude. That's part of the reason I'm down in the Boston scene, because I played the Middle East Club, and one of the acts on the tour was friends with these guys called the Beantown Boys. And they got me booked on one of the biggest college bars down there. And I was like, the only reason I'm booked there is because I met these guys while I was on tour.
Yeah. I mean, I've lifelong friends from touring, like in other places. Like I can show what I was at. Actually, just recently, I was walking down. I was in Manhattan near the theater district, walking down the street, and I just like walked by, and I'm looking at a guy. I'm like, I know him. I'm like, I do know him. And it's not like just middle of New York City. Like theaters were all. It was so crowded, like millions of people out on the street, really. And like I run into somebody I know. I was at Universal one time, and like a dude I knew from touring was just at Universal. It's that travel and that where like social media is one thing, but you don't make those personal connections.
No.
When you're traveling with other people, or like did you guys get hotels every night, or did you crash
Yeah,
your people? Okay. But back in my early punk rock days, there was no money for hotels. We just crashed at random people's houses all the time.
We did that a few times.
So it's like, that's so intimate. Like you get to know that person. Like
we were doing,
and you're so grateful for it that's like somebody you're going to care about forever, you know?
One of the kids I was on tour with, his name's Danny Greeno. He goes by Danny G on TikTok. He was super popular in like the sports scene as a basketball kid. He would do meetups at basketball courts, right? These meetups would bring like 20, 30 kids sometimes. And we just do like knockout or something like that. And it was intimate. These kids loved that. And it was just so much fun. And then we'd give the kids tickets to the show too. And when that tour ended, I was like, I've never experienced depression more than that, dude.
I've talked about, I know so many touring musicians and like post-tour depression.
Dude,
we
it's
talk
like
about it all the time.
You're traveling for 30 days straight, probably more. And you're like, damn.
The only thing you have to do in those days is get to the next place you're performing, and everything else just feels like fucking freedom. And then as soon as you get home, it's over.
Dude, I was booking apartment tours while I was on tour, because I was like, Nashville. When we got to Nashville, I had like 2 apartment tours. I was like, I'm moving here. I'm moving here. I love this place. This place is great. I went back there 2 years later. I'm like, I'm never moving here. I'm never moving here.
Nashville's not exactly your city. Well, you're in country now, so I guess it is. Yeah.
I love Nashville. Just the cost of living is insane.
Yeah, it is brutal. Yeah,
6th highest rent in the country.
Yeah. I've talked to people that are moving here, where we're very expensive, moving here out of Tennessee because of the price. And if you get in rural Tennessee, it's fine. But they talk about it. It's like you're either paying way too much near the city, or you go out in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing to do, no jobs.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, then you hear that so many places. I have those conversations constantly because of what I do for a living. Anything crazy happen to you guys out on the road? Any absolutely nuts stories? Like,
other than me being like the only person
that you can tell without getting arrested.
Other than me being the only person to black out, no, not really. I don't remember much of this tour. I was pretty drunk. I just turned 21 that year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, like anytime we had an off day, hammered.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I'm never going back to New Orleans. That place, I have a theory. This is a wild theory.
I'm interested because I'm going to New Orleans.
A lot of their music, a lot of jazz music, doesn't have lyrics.
Right.
So you have nothing to focus on. When you're drinking, dude, part of the only reason part of the reason I don't get drunk is because I'm focused. I'm focused and it doesn't catch up to me. Oh, it caught up to me real quick that day. I was found like 2 blocks away from the bar at a hot dog's place, hammered.
I mean, most of the bars on Bourbon Street though aren't really jazz bars. Like
we weren't on Bourbon.
Yeah, jazz bar. What's that? I forget the name of the the street where all the jazz bars are. But I know exactly what I can
Because
picture it.
we played a spot out in New Orleans that was like right off of where we were. I think it was like the French Quarter almost or something.
You were right. There's a specific street over in that area where there's like 4 or 5 jazz, like classic old school jazz bars. It was very neat to see. Not my scene, but like it was very cool to watch those guys do music in a way that I had never really seen music done.
I think the coolest story I do have from tour though was we had a show cancel and it was somewhere in Pennsylvania. I don't exactly remember, but some guy had a creative space. And he was like, hey, you know what? I'd love to host you guys. You guys do a little like intimate house party. That was probably the best show of tour. It was so
Funny
close.
how those go.
Dude,
like
it was
times.
probably 120 degrees in that room the entire time. I was sweating so bad. But there was probably like 30, 40 people in this room. You know, it's a small room, probably no bigger than the studio here. And it was probably the best show of tour.
Yeah, you don't need a lot of people to have a good time.
I also got to
a
experience Denver,
misconception.
Colorado. Denver, Colorado is a trip, dude.
Trying to think. I've been to Denver multiple times, and I always think I'm like, I don't know anything about Denver though. What makes it a trip?
I've never had someone try to sell me mushrooms before. That was a thing.
Okay.
He's like, you want to come buy some magic mushrooms? Dude's dressed in a trench coat. And I'm like,
It's a mushroom heavy day. This is the second episode we're recording today, and we went deep on mushrooms on the other one too.
dude, it was the most wildest thing. Also, I've never had a venue try to take a cut of merch before.
Oh yeah, that's brutal.
So it was
It's such bullshit.
it was ridiculous. One of the best shows on tour, though.
Figure out how to make your own money. Like that's
Exactly.
my money. That's my shit that I'm bringing to you.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they do it anymore either.
I heard there was major pushback on that. I think like the major like Live Nation or whatever like got enough pressure that they had to like stop it throughout their whole network. Or
Yeah.
I don't know the business side.
I don't know. I could see you possibly doing it in a bigger venue. Okay. To rent space on a concourse. Understandable.
Yeah, but if you're the performer, you should just be default. It's so hard to make money. You're not selling music anymore.
Yeah.
So and it's so
That's how
hard
you
to
make
make
your
money
money
is,
on merch.
the
Yeah.
merch. That is your
But
bread
dude,
and butter.
if
And you're
you're
going to take
doing
a piece of that. You're not paying. You're not giving great guarantees.
This was
You're-
a 400
you can't
person
sell
venue.
music. Yeah.
This was a 400 person venue and they were doing that. And I was like, dude, these are already
Did they provide you a person to sell it?
no.
No. So I mean, that's insane. That's the only argument I've ever seen that makes sense. Is some of these venues, but it's like you don't want it anyway. You want your own people selling, or you want to do it yourself, depending on what kind of crew you're running with. But yeah, the only argument I've ever seen is that some of these venues give you a person. And it's like, okay, well that person. Has
Yeah,
to
they
get
have
paid,
agencies
but
that do
making
that.
a flat fee or something for that to pay that person. I don't know. Like
I went to I experienced that for the first time a few weeks ago. I went to MGM Fenway and they had someone that wasn't on the artist's team selling merch.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a thing?
Yeah. No, that's very common. But yeah, there was so much pushback on that over the years. I heard a lot of that, like because like it's so within the punk scene, it's like you are doing everything yourself. I mean, everything. Like there's no crews, there's nothing. Like you're just doing, and then you just get popular enough to play one of these clubs that's like, a little bit more business, because we're in like VFW halls, basement shows, like that's what I grew up on, like weird venues. I played a junkyard in Las Vegas once, like literally the kids were stage diving off the junk cars. That was the stage diving. But yeah, like but then you kind of progress, and it's like you finally you start to play like a real club, and then they hit you with that shit. You're like, fuck you, like I've done all of this on my own. I don't need your garbage.
Yeah, no, exactly. I will also say that tour taught me so much about like doing my own events, throwing my own shows.
Yeah.
Like there was a
Yeah,
while
you get
there.
to see a variety of how things are done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the social media
Yeah.
thing too. But when I got back, I started REKLSS University, which was like my party thing where like I was targeting the college kids. They were all coming out like to.
Where were you doing that?
I was doing it at Murphy's
Okay.
in the back room, dude. There was it's a small little room. Dude, we were putting like 400 or 500 heads in that building on a Thursday night.
Is that legal?
No, probably not, but not my problem anymore.
Yeah.
But no, that was nuts to be able to do that myself. And well, I had a team. I did build a good team of promoters from St. Anselm's and SNHU that have all hence now graduated, and it was a blast.
I did an Uber for a little while early on in my real estate career, and like Friday and Saturday night was literally just either driving out to St. A's and back downtown, or driving out to Schnoo and back down, like over and over again. Like I had a good time. Like people would bitch about it, like dealing with the college kids, but I had a good time with them. Like here's the aux cord,
have at
music, rip the vapes. I don't care. We're partying in my car.
I moved it to another venue after at the beginning of this school year. Didn't pan out, but we were doing like Sprinter vans to them, so they didn't have to order Ubers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah.
It was a good idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they do with like busing people in to vote. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good call. It's smart. Yeah, not many people thinking about that, and that's like removal of liability too, because like you don't have to worry about them driving. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's very smart.
Yeah, and I think also I kind of took a step back from the college scene too, because now I'm trying to really focus on like the country DJ aspect, because I feel like that's a really niche scene right now that nobody around here is in. Nobody's just a country DJ. And now I'm booked in a spot in Salem, Massachusetts, called Tipsy's, and I'm doing the same thing I did up here, building a team of promoters at the colleges, and we're just having fun with it. And it's a country and pop night. One of my last nights there, a few weeks ago, we did out of nowhere 400, 500 kids, dude, and I was like, wow. And this bar's only been open for 2 months, so I was like,
if you would have told me before I visited Nashville, which I don't remember how long ago that was, I think it was just like post COVID, because I remember thinking, I'm like, wow, Nashville's a lot more open up than everybody else, because that's just how the South was. But I would have never thought that you would be like in that demographic, like just knowing like how you carry yourself, the way you dress, the things you've done in the past. But like that opened my eyes to that. Like country is like another party scene. Like it's a different type. It's a different, little slightly different vibe. But we did one of those tractor tours. Like people are like hanging upside down on these like bars.
Oh yeah, the pedal bikes, dude. The pedal bikes are nuts.
This was a tractor where they towed us on a trailer, but the pedal tours are a thing too. Yeah,
it's like what was a spot.
I don't want to. If I'm drinking, which I don't anymore, but if I was drinking, I would not want to be pedaling. That doesn't seem to go together to me.
I assume those bikes run off something other than pedaling too.
Oh, maybe yeah.
But I'm with you.
Pedaling's just for show.
That city, dude. That's just the ultimate
it's a fun
party
place.
City.
Yeah, it's a fun place. Like we did kind of like over a few years, like Austin, Nashville, New Orleans. I think I had the most fun in Nashville, and the food is absolutely insane. And
the barbecue out in Nashville is nice.
Yeah,
I love it.
Shout out though, 603 Barbecue. Anytime barbecue is mentioned, 603 Barbecue is the spot to go. It's the best in the country. I've been to the Texas spots. I've been to Terry Black's in Austin. I've been to Arthur Bryant's in St. Louis. Nothing beats 603 Barbecue. Sorry to cut you off.
Where is that? Because I've heard it.
Concord, right next to Litherman's Brewery. They're actually connected. There's a doorway between the two establishments, so you can grab your barbecue and walk over and grab a beer from Litherman's, sit down and eat your food. They got their own seating on their side if breweries are your thing.
That's dangerous.
They also have outside seating in the summer. I was supposed to have Ben on. He had to cancel. I haven't gotten around to rescheduling him yet, but he's a young guy like yourself, just killing it in the thing that he's doing, and it's awesome to see. And he went out to Texas and like learned from some of the top people and came back and just did it. And I think he even kicked it up to another level. And it's like, things get watered down over time. Like, some of these places, and Terry Black's is good, but it's like they're churning out massive amounts. They have a lot of employees. Do you think those employees all really, really are passionate about barbecue? Of course they're not. So it gets watered down. It's like Ben. It's like every time I go in there, it's him and the same other couple guys doing it, and they're out splitting the wood for to smoke the barbecue, and there's just so you can feel it, taste it in the food. There's just a passion on another level. I don't know why I'm going so deep on something that has nothing to do with either of us, but I love it.
Barbecue.
I love
Okay, listen.
It's 10 minutes from my house. I told him, I'm like, you're 10 minutes from my house, and you're the best barbecue I've ever had. Like, I will do anything to keep you in business. Like, whatever the max tip is when that screen flips
He's like,
over,
you want a silent partner? Just kidding. He's like,
I'm down.
I'm open to it.
I'm down.
That's another thing I want to get into, dude, down the line. You know, I'm 24. I didn't get into this just with one plan. I want to start investing, dude, because that's what am I going to do when I'm, 40? You know, I'm not going to be a DJ in the clubs.
Right.
That's at least not the end goal here.
What's your what kind of investment? You want to invest in businesses, or
I want to do I really want to expand my business portfolio, because you see a lot of these TikTokers, these social media influencers now, they're not just making money off social media, dude.
Oh yeah.
They've bought apartment buildings.
You gotta be diversified.
They've started businesses, they've started
So you see all these comedians with liquor lines, stuff like that. Yeah,
it's an endorsement, and they're making a ton of money off of it.
Yeah. If once you build a name for yourself, then you can do anything with that name.
Exactly. Look at, I hate to use him as an example, but Logan Paul, look what he's doing with his.
There's much worse examples. I was like, oh, where are we going with this when you said that? But
Travis Scott. No, I'm just kidding.
I was waiting for Andrew Tate or something.
Dude, if Andrew Tate comes out with a drink line, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked at that, dude.
Yeah, Logan Paul, go.
But no, look what he's doing with Prime, dude. They're making a ton of money right now.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. And then Mr. Beast, he's got the Beast bars.
He's got the Feastables. Yeah, he's got the Lunchly thing.
Oh, I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, well, that's him, Logan Paul, and some other guy.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you make a name for yourself, and then you can sell anything.
And that's always the end goal, dude, because you see a lot of these radio personnel getting endorsements and stuff like that. Like Sophie's in a auto fare commercial, dude. She's like the spokeswoman for
when I was growing up. I mean, the local radio people were famous people. I think the end of that might have been Greg Kretschmar around here.
Love Greg
and Roadkill and his whole crew. The Laura's still on some other station, right? I think now or whatever.
Which Laura? Because there's two.
Oh,
you talking about 101 Laura?
Yeah, the one that was on
because
Buzz years ago.
We have a Laura on 96.5 that's been there for years. Laura, she does the morning show. Has been doing it for years. Gotcha. I love her.
Yeah, no, I but it's they legit. I remember going. My sixth grade class did this unit called we were the Roadkill Rangers, and we would have all the kids in the school come in the morning, and if they spotted any roadkill around town, they tell us what it was and what street it was on. That way we'd know if it was a new report or not. And we tracked all the roadkill as a scientific, what things are getting hit the most.
That is so cool.
I had a very forward-thinking sixth grade teacher. He did a bunch of cool we turned our whole classroom into a rainforest and gave tours to the lesser grades, because I was in rural Maine. Our school was K through 6. So we turned our whole classroom into a rainforest, and we gave tours to the second and third graders and taught them about the rainforest.
I bet you they love that.
It was so cool. And then we tracked a pair of turtles, a pair of peregrine falcons, they had tracking on them. We'd log in every day and see where they were and mark it on a map. He was a very forward-thinking teacher. But Roadkill Rangers, we went on the Captain and Mark on WBLM up in Portland, and to us it was this is a big deal. This is the Captain and Mark, and that's just gone. That's not
now. You see it a lot you see it a lot with your demographic, I feel like.
Old people?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not ageist. No. But so what's interesting though, okay, we do shows at colleges, some country concerts. We have Parmalee coming up at St. Anselm's. We did Lacoss at St. Anselm's, and these kids all know me from REKLSS University. So all these kids are oh my God, that's DJ REKLSS. We didn't know he does he's on radio. And then after that, dude, I was getting DMs. Hey, can you play this? Can you play this?
Really?
Can you play this? And I'm like, yeah, totally.
From college kids.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well,
I mean, it's all about support and building a fan base, dude. It's literally what it is. And
if they like you, they'll come to whatever media you're on.
Exactly.
That's a good lesson there.
I was shocked, dude. I was like, oh, okay. And then the photos I was being tagged in after and everything. And then when I came out on stage at Lacoss, the kids were chanting my name, and I was sitting backstage almost crying. Yeah. I'm like, this is nuts, dude.
Yeah, it's when you get levels of recognition like that, it's crazy. I had the opportunity a couple of years ago to see the band I Quit headline a sold out show, And like I standing on stage and watching people sing along was like that. I've had that same because like when I'm playing bass, I'm a terrible musician. So like I don't even know what's going on in the crowd because I'm just staring at my hands, making sure I don't do the wrong thing. But just sit there and stand on stage and watch everybody sing along. I had that same kind of like teary eyed, like holy shit,
Dude, when I played,
built, you know?
when 603 Bar and Grill was coming to a close, we were ending that. I was there for almost 5 years DJing, almost every single weekend. And that's where a lot of Manchester knows me from, was right there. And we were packed.
That's usually where I've run into you.
Yeah, well, most of the time. I was like,
so when I'm stumbling around,
when
I used to stumble around downtown.
I was 3 sheets to the wind most of the nights anyway. But like, even on the nights I like got the chance to headline for the first time, and that place was packed with kids I knew, and hearing them sing was wild. I have a show coming up August 29th. I'm opening for Parmalee and Mackenzie Carpenter at St. Anselm's. I think that show's gonna be a show for me. That's gonna be like one of those holy crap moments.
I'll make sure to clip that because this will be out well before that, so we'll help you promote a little bit.
Hell yeah,
Unless it's sold
you.
out already.
No,
okay,
not even close, unfortunately. Just kidding.
All right, well, that's perfect because I usually end this with what people want to plug. Is there anything else you want to tell people to look out for? Where to find you? All that good stuff.
Shoot me a follow on Instagram, DJ REKLSS, DJ REKLSS on Instagram.
If you're watching on video, just like on his hat.
Oh yeah, it is on my hat too. Yeah, trying to come out with some merch, dude. This is one of the many. What's it called? Ideas we've had.
Don't try, just do.
Yeah, true.
Print some, and you know, a lot of the model that I've seen now in the punk rock world with a lot of my friends' bands is they just do pre-order. They have to deal with people are so used to the Amazon model that they're yelling at them, "Where's my stuff?" because it's like not printed yet. But they do pre-order and just make what people order. And then they're not out anything. They don't have to worry about selling
That's
stock.
true.
They don't have to
or
worry
the
about
print
selling
on demand stuff
inventory,
too.
Yeah.
But I'm such a stickler on quality, dude. I want to see it before it comes out.
I mean, you can get test prints.
True.
You know, there's no reason you can't. So yeah, follow Christian on Instagram. Listen to him on 96.5 Live Free Country. Go check out that show at St. A's. Lots of good stuff going on.
It's gonna be a blast.
Thanks for
Appreciate
coming in,
you
man.
having me.
Yeah, no problem.